So obviously, as a lot of us know, that have been wrestling fans for a long time, or at least been paying attention to wrestling as best we could. This year, as far as I know, marks a decade since Bullet Club, the wrestling stable in Japan, was first established by then Prince Devitt, now known as Finn Balor in WWE. And ever since then, Bullet Club has had numerous members come and go, numerous leaders come and go, and in recent years has had numerous, I guess you could say, spin-off factions that are connected to it, come and go as well. And what's interesting is right now, in the 10th year of Bullet Club's existence, we have more spin-off factions than you can ever imagine. I mean, yes, we have the original Bullet Club in Japan with a new leader in David Finlay, which is ironic since him and Juice Robinson used to feud against the Bullet Club, and then Robinson turned his back on Finlay, and now Finlay's the leader. So it's kind of a unique and weird situation there. But then you have a spin-off group in Japan working alongside them called the House of Torture. And, it's, led by, I think, what's his name, Evo, and it's pretty much a Bullet Club spin-off group that still, is, pretty much when it's necessary, there to help out, their leader, David Finlay, and the other BC members. But then when we look outside of Japan, we also notice that in some of the major companies here in North America, if not maybe other parts of the world, but mostly here in North America, we notice that we have a variety of spin-off factions. And you know what? When you look at these factions, you're like, well, how are they spin-offs? It doesn't make sense. It's real simple how they're spin-offs. Just by who's part of the group. I mean, when you look over at Impact, of course you have Bullet Club USA, as I like to call them, represented by Ace Austin and Chris Bay. So you have them, representing Bullet Club in Impact Wrestling, and by extension in New Japan Strong, which is their North American, which is New Japan's North American-based promotion, or at least sister promotion here in the States. But then, when you look into the other companies as well, like WWE and AEW, you also have connections to Bullet Club in those promotions as well. I mean, AEW, come on, honestly, you have two. You have Bullet Club Gold, which just started up with Jay White and Juice Robinson, and you have the Elite, the Young Bucks, Omega, and Page. So you have those two Bullet Club spin-off groups working in AEW along with other factions. Then when you look at WWE, you somewhat have the same kind of situation. You have two Bullet Club spin-off groups. You have the OC with AJ Styles, Gallows, Anderson, and Njpw. And then you have Judgment Day, which originally didn't start off as a Bullet Club spinoff, but as soon as Finn Balor took over as leader, you can pretty much see that it is pretty much a Bullet Club spinoff, or at least it became that as soon as Finn took over, because it has that same kind of, I guess you could say, motif to it. So when you look at Bullet Club and its decade-long existence currently, you are noticing that its influence is felt, outside of its country and promotion of origin. It is felt here in North America. It is felt in Mexico. It is felt, in Canada and in Europe. Now I don't know what kind of Bullet Club groups or spin-off groups, or tie-in groups, if you will, are in those countries. But I do know that here in North America, like I said, in Impact Wrestling, you have pretty much, the USA version of Bullet Club being represented with Ace Austin and Chris Bay in both Impact and New Japan Strong. Then in AEW, as I mentioned, you have the Elite, very obvious. And then outside of that, you have basically, in WWE, you have the OC with AJ, Mia, Gallows, and Anderson. And then you have Judgment Day, which, like I said, initially didn't start out as a Bullet Club tie-in group or spin-off group. But the moment Finn took over and kicked Edge out, it essentially, especially through its mannerisms and presentation, pretty much became a spin-off, if not a tie-in group, to Bullet Club. So, yeah, when you look at the legacy Bullet Club has created in the past 10 years, and to know that in a way they are now basically a part of every major promotion around the world that pretty much anybody knows of, from New Japan to WWE to AEW to Impact. When you think about that for a moment, that Bullet Club pretty much, is, running rough, I wouldn't say running roughshod, but making their presence felt in these promotions, while they're still running roughshod in the promotion of the Origin. It definitely shows you that not only did they take that, I guess you could say, NWO inspiration that they had originally, or they built on originally, and people compare them to, but not only did they take it and run with it, they basically took it, ran with it, and essentially evolved it to a new level. That's what they did. They took it, they ran with it, they scored multiple times over, and evolved it over time by doing something that the NWO never really could do, because things were different back then, and that's basically make their presence felt in other promotions, simultaneously. Even if you can't refer to them as, said group, even though some announcers like Michael Cole have a little bit more leniency to kind of refer to them or refer to the connection that certain superstars have, but like I said, outside of that, even though they can't call themselves, by the Bullet Club name, just by the fact that you have the OC, the original club, you have Judgment Day being led by Finn Balor, and pretty much, I guess you could say, oozing off that motif of Bullet Club to it, or with it, I should say. And then, of course, what you have in Impact with Bay and Austin, and then, of course, in AEW with the Elite, and then New Japan itself with, the original club and the House of Torture. It shows you that, like I said, that Bullet Club basically, throughout its existence, took the ball that it was given with the inspiration it got from the NWO, ran with it, scored multiple times, and basically, and by scoring multiple times, helped do something that the original NWO couldn't do, and that's evolve and spread and let the presence and spread out, and let their presence be felt in all these other promotions. And that, to me, the day Bullet Club officially does come to an end, whether it's the original Japan version, which is more than likely to be the one that dies, when it's all dies when it's all said and done, whether it's them, whether it's a decision just to be like, hey, Bullet Club has ran its course in all these promotions with its spin-offs and tie-in groups, let's just let them all go their separate ways and never visit this again for at least for a while. One thing people cannot deny, that when it's all said and done, one thing they cannot deny is Bullet Club is going to go down as the most influential, inspiring, and most game-changing faction outside of the NWO. And that they did what the NWO couldn't do. They basically allowed their legacy, their legacy, their influence to be felt simultaneously in all the major promotions out there. I mean, think about that. Think about that. I mean, for example, when Gallows and Anderson, were let go from WWE initially, and they went and did free agency with Impact, then they went to Japan. What happened? They automatically got put back into Bullet Club. Why? Because essentially that's who they were in WWE. Whether it was with Styles in the OC or Balor in the Balor Club, that's who they were. They were essentially still Bullet Club. I mean, why do you think they say that Bullet Club is for life? Why do you think they say that? Because basically, you're taking that term, that saying, and you're making it a reality by creating all these tie-in groups, spin-off groups, not just in New Japan, but in all these other promotions. And whether or not these promotions allow you to bring the Bullet Club name with you, and it maybe even, I guess you could say, rebrandish it, like Jay White and Juice Robinson have with Bullet Club Gold, BCG, whether it's that or, if you're a company like WWE that's like, hey, we'll allow announcers to acknowledge, your history and the group's existence, on commentary, on play-by-play, but we can't allow you to call yourselves Bullet Club in any shape or form. Here, we need something that's identical, or at least, ties into it. And again, this is how you have the OC. This is how you have the Balor Club. This is why you have Judgment Day in the presentation it has right now. Being very Bullet Club-like. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying, when the day comes that Bullet Club does end, the original group, the initial group in Japan ends, and slowly some of the other tie-in groups kind of, part ways or at least disband for the time being until they're needed again to be a group. There's going to be no denying that Bullet Club, its influence is felt throughout all of professional wrestling. It is. It is felt through all of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whether anybody wants to admit that or not. Because again, what they have done historically is do what no other faction, NWO inspired or not, could do. And that's basically, have their presence felt currently in all three or four different major promotions outside of the likes of AAA, Rev Pro, or MLW. And that is saying something. That is saying something. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What are your thoughts on the decade-long run of Bullet Club? How do you feel about the influence they've had? Do you agree that they basically, have taken the ball that was given to them and ran with it and scored multiple times and have done something that the original NWO, which they were inspired by, couldn't do, and that's evolve and expand their group outside of the, company of origin, even to present day, with the tie-in groups that we see. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, live chat during the premiere. Love to hear from each and every one of you. And until then, I am out.